Hi class. So this is probably the first video that you're watching for the class. Hopefully we've already met in Discord or in class. But I'm going to do a little bit of a longer intro just to kind of introduce everything that we're going to be looking at in class. And then this video is also going to serve as the first lab assignment, which will go over a lot of the basics about turn in your assignments in the course. It's going to be a general overview of the course structure as well as how to use the Open Lab. This semester is going to be an open world class. So if you've played any open world games before, you might have an idea of what that's going to be. But basically, you're going to have a lot of freedom to choose which direction you kind of go with the course, whether you focus on one type of skill or another. In order to organize that, I've created a little skill tree that organizes different categories of assignments and projects into the different roles that you might see in a real game design studio. This assignment, this lab, is focused on reading through the skill tree and creating a plan for the semester. That plan can change. You don't have to commit to this right now. This is just to get you started thinking about what you would like to do in the class. We're also going to go over publishing your first Open Lab post. All of the assignments this semester will involve publishing something on the Open Lab. So we're going to cover how to do that now in a little bit more depth than we will in future videos. Each post that you make is going to document your progress throughout the class. So you can see the site right here. This is the intro to the site. The labs are all going to be under this labs page, right? Obviously right now there's just the one intro lab, and in here all the labs will have kind of a list of the main things that you need to do to complete the lab before you turn it in, and I'll go over that at the beginning of each video. So this one is pretty straightforward. You're going to log into the Open Lab or make an account. You're going to open the skill tree page, and then you're going to just explore the skill tree for a while and create a plan for the semester. So once you document your path through the skill tree, you're going to take some screenshots and some documentation and then create a post on the Open Lab, which will be your first Open Lab post. These steps will be useful for future assignments as well. So we're just kind of getting used to how the class is going to work. So let's get started with the lab. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Discord or email me. If you're watching this, you've probably already met me in class, but if not, that's okay. Hopefully we will meet soon. So here we are on the Open Lab page. If you don't have an Open Lab account, you're going to need to sign up for one. If you have one already, if you've used one for another class, you can just click the login button and get started. When you click sign up, it's going to bring you to this BMCC portal. You can use your email and your email password, and that should get you to the Open Lab. If you have any issues with that, let me know and we can troubleshoot them. Now you are on the Open Lab homepage and you should see a new profile, or it's going to take you through the steps of creating a profile. So once you do that, you're going to need to get our course. I'll include a link to go directly there once you're logged in. And then right now, since I'm logged in, you can see the button says clone the course. That's because I created the course. But what you're going to do is join the course. So there'll be a similar button there. You just click join the course and it's going to add you automatically to the course, which is going to allow you to log in and post content and do whatever it is that you need to do for the class. And of course, once you have joined the class, you can click on the visit site button and that will bring you to the class site. So now we're back where we were, except at this point we are part of the class and we can post and do other things. Once you're signed up, the first thing you're going to want to do is check out the skill tree. So the skill tree is actually a separate app that I created. Eventually I'll work on integrating the whole thing, but it was just easier to build this on another page by itself. First thing you're going to see on the skill tree is the apprentice tier with the different labs. And those 3 labs are our first 3 assignments. You can also take a look through the other tiers for the different roles that you can take on in the class, like developer, artist, designer, sound designer, publishing, and quality assurance. If you hover over the title of each lab, it'll give you a little bit of description. I'm still working on those, so those will be edited throughout the semester to give a little bit more detail so you know what to expect from those labs. And then there's a little completed check, which if you click is going to show which other items have been made available. The first thing we need to do, of course, is make an account. So you need a username, email, and password. The name is what you're going to see when you log in. The email doesn't actually really matter. It's just a like little app that I hacked together. But if you use your real email, it may be easier to remember. And then the password just has to be 6 characters. Once you're logged in, you'll be able to see your progress throughout the semester. That's something that I'll be handling on the back end. You can make changes to see what would happen, for example, if you completed different labs, and you can do that anytime you want, but it's not going to be actually saved in the back end. When you submit an assignment, I will update the back end, and then you'll see that reflected in your skill tree. So you can see as you complete different tasks, you'll see other tasks become available. That's the little available button in the top of each lab. And so that'll be useful if you're not sure, what to do from week to week. You can look at what's available and then you can choose based on that. So once you finish the first 3 labs in the apprentice tier, you can see that many other labs become available. Except for publishing, you have to finish a few more labs for publishing before you can kind of do that at the end. So as you put your labs together, you're going to see your points add up. And there's a grading scale, so the grade is based on how many of these labs you complete. The point system is designed so that an A, or 35 points, is going to be about 10 or 12 labs or assignments. And so you need to strategize by looking at the point values for each lab to figure out the way that you want to achieve an A. Another thing to mention is that you do get a lot of points for collaboration. So anytime you collaborate on a project, you will get a point. So if you're a developer and you borrow some animations from a designer and use them in your project, that means that both you and the designer will get 1 point. So that's a good way to increase your total points, is just by collaborating with other students. It's basically, free points once you do that. So what we want to do is create sort of a path, and our goal is to get up to 35 points. And for this assignment, we just want to create something where we reach 35 points and then document that. So right now I'm kind of pretending, okay, if I want to be a developer, I might have to, do the programming intro, so I can open up a few other tracks like the obstacles, the items, and maybe I'll do the dialogue system as well. And then I can maybe add a couple things from the designer tier just to give myself some more points. And eventually, once I get a few points added up, so now that I've got a bunch of points in different tiers, you can see that the 3 checks for publishing are open. So I can make a build and I can publish it on itch.io. Those labs are both worth 5 points, so that's going to increase my score a lot. I'm almost at 35 now. If I do the quality assurance lab, that will teach me how to do some testing. Now I'm up at 39, so that's great. I've got an A. I did a few extra points, but nothing wrong with learning a little bit more. I've logged into a test account I created to show you what it'll look like once you've completed some assignments. You will see the completed check on the assignments that are completed in the back end, and you will see the total points even when you refresh the page. Okay, let's log back into Owen and complete the assignment. So now what I want to do is choose a path. It's a plan. Again, I don't have to commit to this, but I want to choose a path, and then I want to take some screenshots that I'm going to post on the Open Lab. So I'm going to go through and choose a few different labs that I want to do this semester. So of course I'm going to start with the apprentice tier. I don't really need to show that because everybody has to do that. So then I'm going to choose some labs from the developer tier. And so let's do the intro, of course, to open up the rest of the programming assignments. And we'll do some basic stuff like collecting items and the obstacles and collisions. And so that looks pretty good. And so now I'm transitioning over to the desktop view so that we can see how I'm going to take these screenshots. If you're on a Mac, this should work for you. If you're on a PC, you might need to make some changes. I'll post a link to a tutorial for taking screenshots on a Windows computer. So with the Mac, if I hit Command Shift and 3, it gives me a little target which I can expand and take a photo. But a better way to do it is to use Command Shift 3 and then hit space, and that will give me a little camera where I can take a photo of the actual window, so I don't have to worry about cropping it or editing it all. So that gives me a nice little window. So I need to get up to 35 points, so I'm going to open up the artist here and choose a few labs from here. So let's see, I've got my character design. I want to work on some scenery, some backgrounds, platforms, And I want to do some animations as well. So that got me up to 23 points. That's pretty good. So there's my artist here. I'll add a little bit of sound, maybe some background music. So that gets me up to 27 points. And now I want to go ahead and see if I'm up to an A. And if I do a publishing and publish on itch.io, that will get me up to the A range. And so there's my basic plan for the semester. So I didn't actually touch the designer tier at all. And I chose a few different elements from each tier, but I didn't complete, all of the assignments in any tier. So there's a few different ways that you could probably look at it. One is to do all of the assignments in one tier. Another might be to pick and choose from a bunch of different ones, or do half and half. You basically have to do about 6 total assignments in the different tiers, depending on the point value. And especially if you collaborate, you can add some more points very easily. So now we have to add our documentation in the Open Lab. When you go back to the Open Lab, there's going to be a little plus button, which you can use to create a new post. And there's going to be, if you haven't used the WordPress interface before, there's a little tutorial that might be useful. I'm just going to click through it because I've done it before. The first thing that we want to do is choose a category. There will be a category for every possible assignment so that we can organize them. So you're just going to find the assignment that you're completing and click on that category. And then the first thing to do is create a title. Title doesn't really matter that much. You can name it after the assignment. You could come up with a creative new name for what you're doing. I'm just going to use the name of the assignment and say skill tree because that's what I'm posting. For documentation, I always want to start with a little intro, a sentence or two explaining what we're looking at. So I'm just going to say what I decided to do with my skill tree. And so there's some context for what we're going to see with the screenshots. To add my first screenshot, I'm going to drag and drop. Once you drag it over the WordPress interface, you should see a little blue bar. That means that it detects that you're trying to drag and drop, so you can drop the image in there, and that should work very easily. So then you can write another sentence or two about the choices that you made in the screenshot or in that part of the skill tree. And then another way to add an image is to add a block that is an image type block. So if you hover over the editor area, you'll see that little plus button. You can click on that and then choose image. You can choose upload. And then you're going to want to go to your desktop or wherever the image is saved on your computer and choose the image from there. So this might be easier if they're not directly on your desktop or you're not sure. You don't see them on your computer, but the drag and drop is probably the easiest way to do it. So I'm going to write one more sentence just to contextualize the choices that I made for my skill tree. And then I've got one more image to add. So I'm going to drag and drop. And again, make sure that you get that blue line. You can't drop it directly into a block. So you actually have to get that little blue line, which shows that you're creating a new image block. And once you've done that, you're basically all done. I'm going to add another sentence for context here. So if you're happy with your assignment, you can publish it. You might want to preview it first. So you can click on the preview button and you'll want to choose the desktop, assuming that you're on a desktop computer when you're writing it. And that just shows you what the post is going to look like. Okay, so you can make sure that you've done everything, that your images all went through, and that looks pretty good. You won't see your author down there until you've posted something, so you may not see that quite yet. Okay, so if you like the way it looks, you can hit publish. That's going to send a notification to me, so I will check those assignments as soon as I get a chance to. And so once it's published, you'll get a little button to view the post. And so we'll take a look at that because I'll show you how our feedback and grading is going to work. So anybody can leave a comment on your posts, but you can also leave a private comment. And so that is going to be how I'm going to give you feedback for the post. So I'll make a private comment and I'll just tell you, if you completed it, good job, you can move on, and I'll update the backend so you can see what new labs are available for you. The comment will be private, so other users can't see it. Only you and I will be able to see those comments. And if there's something missing, if you need to add a little bit more, I'll just say that there. And so you can update it and publish it again. And then eventually, once you've got it updated, I will update your skill tree to reflect that. So eventually, you'll have this author page where you'll see all the posts that you wrote. We're going to actually set up a little bit more your author page in the next video, and we're going to use that as an opportunity to introduce an editor that we're going to use for the graphics. And so you'll make a little icon for that assignment. And so that's it. You're done with your first assignment.